Nancy DuPont, and I am among the people who teach broadcast journalism at Ole Miss. I often hear we have a fabulous program in broadcast journalism, and I'm extremely happy when I hear that. I'd like to introduce my colleagues. Professor Deb Winger is at the end, and Dr. Brad Schultz. Those of you who have had TV reporting know him well, especially if you've had him at 8 in the morning. Students, today you have a very rare opportunity. The people on this stage and in the front row know how you can get a job. And it's not just in broadcasting. They know how you can get a job in any field because many of them have worked across the board in all kinds of journalism communication fields. But to get us started, I would like to call on Assistant Dean Charlie Mitchell to give us a welcome.
Welcome. Today's important conversation is on, is there life after Ole Miss? This is one of my favorite panels to attend, and we record these and we use them, so in classes for students who have conflicts, can't be here right now, who choose to go to class and whatever. This kind of reminds me of that show that comes on about 2 o'clock in the morning, Country Family Reunion, you know? We sincerely do welcome you on behalf of Dean Will Norton and I. This school is, this is my 3rd year, and in talking with some of you, you've had the same reaction I have, is that the students amaze us at their talent, at their ability, and their drive. Your being here is so important to us because it shows that you're interested in them. And furthermore, you have with them something that those of us who've been out in the real world and come into academia no longer have, and that's credibility. They'll listen to you because you are doing the things on a daily basis that they aspire to do. So I hope you have a great session. And again, welcome.
This is the 3rd year we've had this panel, and we've welcomed the broadcasters to Ole Miss. However, this is the biggest representation of Mississippi broadcasters that we've had, and there were more students seeking their advice today than I could have possibly imagined, so thank you so much. But since there are so many broadcasters here who I didn't know and didn't expect to be here, I was so delighted when you walked in the room. But I would like for you to introduce yourselves because I think that would be better than me trying and leaving a lot of you out. So the wireless microphone on the desks in front of you is for your use, and if we would just start with a brief introduction, and especially where you're from and what position you hold.
I'm Jeff Houston. I'm the news director at WTVA in Tupelo.
I am Allie Ware. I'm a anchor reporter for WTVA in Tupelo.
Hi, I'm Andrea Self, an anchor, reporter, producer, host, WCBI TV. They make me do everything.
Hello, I'm Cheryl Bell. I'm the production coordinator at WTVA in Tupelo.
My name is Stan Allen. I'm with Clear Channel Radio out of Tupelo, WESC, WACR, and also I am a host of West Point of View on WLOV, Fox 27.
Hey, what's up, old man? Wow.
A radio voice.
I'm okay. Let's just do this without the microphone.
I'll tell you what, there's a mic in front of you, so that might be interfering.
Okay. All right. How's this? A little better? All right. First of all, can I just say hotty toddy?
Hotty toddy.
All right. I want to throw that out there real quick. Anyway, my name is Kevin Russell. I am with Tupelo Radio Broadcasting. Normally, I don't need one of these. All right. But anyway, kind of been battling a little cold, so. Oh, and then you want me to touch that? Well, I mean, I ain't been running no fever or anything. I mean, you know, but scoot away, Stan, scoot away. But anyway, my name's Kevin Russell. I am the production manager for Tupelo Radio Broadcasting. I also do afternoons on KZ103, which is a top 40 radio station, and my other job is also problem solver for the company.
Woodrow Wilkins, the reporter, WXVT Television, Greenville. I didn't know I was coming here. Ann Martin is actually supposed to be here, and I'm subbing for her because of her schedule. And yesterday when I was asked to come, I just happened to look up on the rack next to my desk and I saw this red shirt and decided, hey, Ole Miss?
I'm Rick Mize. I'm with TeleSouth Communications, a local manager of Q93.7 in Super Talk, Mississippi. I am a 1981 graduate of the University of Mississippi in radio TV.
I'm Johnny Boswell with Boswell Media. We operate 3 radio stations down in central Mississippi, but also do a lot of web stuff. And like to say, I was encouraged to see all the different things that you guys are doing here, from video editing to knowing how to write and tell stories. So it's good to be here.
I'm Robert Davidson. I'm the news director at WCBI Television in Columbus and a proud 1986 graduate of the university.
Good, thank you. Wilson Stribling, excuse me, a news director at WLBT Channel 3 and WDVD Fox 40 in Jackson. I graduated from Ole Miss about 20 years ago.
Hi, my name is Tanya Carter. I am the assistant news director as well as main anchor for the 5, 6, and 10 o'clock news for WABG. We're the ABC affiliate in Greenville, Greenwood. We are also the proud owners of an NBC station as well as a Fox station.
I'm Carrie Snyder with Snyder Media in Tupelo, Mississippi. We operate Power 101 and Max 95.
Hey, my name is Ben Hart, and I'm a proud graduate of Mississippi State University. I'm the news director at WAPT in Jackson, Mississippi, which is the ABC affiliate, and I'm glad to be here to help you guys and talk to you guys about the news business. Mississippi State.
Yeah, we heard it. We only needed to hear it once. There are other esteemed broadcasters sitting in the first 2 rows, and if you don't see them on the stage, that doesn't mean they can't answer questions, so I will be calling on them throughout this panel discussion. Let me start it off. Oh, and I wanted to say there's plenty of opportunity for you students to ask questions, so please be thinking of the thing you've always wanted to know about getting a job. Let me just start out. When one of our Ole Miss graduates or seniors walks into your office, what do they need to tell you, and what do they need to have in the way of skills?
First thing I suggest is learn how to cook ramen noodles. Because that's what you're going to eat for about the first 2, in your first contract. No, seriously, bring me solid writing. That is my first. That's my first cut. Is solid writers. I need folks that can construct clear, concise packages. Number 2, work on your video skills, your video, and your use of natural sound, because you can get a desk full of good writers. So that will make you stand out from the others. So I mean, those are the 2 things that I would work with, and be willing to work all hours and everything. And I'm just speaking for me personally. Now, every other news director up here may have a different approach on it. For God's sakes, don't send me a resume with glamour shots, please, because what that tells me is that all you care about is being pretty. And that's that's part of this business, but don't leave the impression that's the main reason you're in this business.
I would say, turn me down. I'm going to speak from the side of radio. I'm doing radio and television, but I think I want to see heart. I want to see passion. I want to see that you're interested in what you're doing. I want to make sure that you have the desire to move forward. I'm not too worried about fear, because fear will soon subside in a little bit. And let me also say, I'm also a graduate of Ole Miss, 1982. Here at the University of Mississippi. But I think that heart, I think that the passion, and I think if you can bring me good ideas and show me that you are willing to move forward and not be stagnated in one particular situation, always have ideas, always think ahead, always read, always study. And I think if you pull it up that way, I can always appreciate that you're going to be a progressive person, and not only going to make yourself look good, you're going to make the company look good.
A desire to work. The hours are long. It's not 9 to 5. Be flexible. Nights, weekends. Be ready to go when you're called. variety of skills. Most of you have training in video or writing, but in a small market such as Greenville, you're going to have to do more than that too. You'll have to do some editing, maybe even producing. So be ready.
Be the best person. Be the best. Don't walk in and be average. Don't show me an average, stand-ups and average things that everybody in your school did. Don't do that. You got to have something that makes you stand out. And if you come into a newsroom or any one of these newsrooms or radio stations or anything, and you expect to get a job coming out of school, you have to expect that you have to be better than all the people who are coming out of school, plus all the people who already have jobs. So don't waste your time coming in with an average tape. Do something fantastic. Have something fantastic and know everything. You can't come in and not know what's going on in the news. You got to come in able to talk to me about what just happened. Even though you just drove 2 hours to get here, you should know what's happening if something's happening on the news right now. You should know about it, and that's the kind of thing that's going to get you a job.
I'm in agreement with all of the gentlemen that have spoken thus far, but in the radio business today, you need to come in with a grasp of the internet, how to use that, because that's something we're fast moving into, and some old guys like us, we don't have a clue. And we need young minds that, and it's about ideas. This business is about ideas, so bring ideas to the table.
One comment that was made about the use of natural sound, one of the things that impressed me early on this morning, and like I said, we're typically a heritage radio company, but we're doing more and more stuff on the web, which does include video. But oftentimes you will find yourself in a video situation where you're capturing some good natural sound. And you can take that natural sound and it becomes a radio product. So in the medium of radio and in the medium of video, pay attention to your shooting skills, but also pay attention to what that soundtrack is like and getting that good natural live sound from the scene of whatever you're reporting on.
All right, thank you. What mistake can I make to ensure I won't get the job when I walk into your office, Jeff Houston? We'll start with you, and then we'll go to everyone else.
Come in wearing flip-flops. If you come in wearing flip-flops, I'm probably going to walk you right back out the door pretty quick. Treat it very professionally. Make sure that this is a job, this is not school, and I'm not there to be your parents. So don't come in and start saying, and in 3 weeks, I've got to go to Jamaica because I've got this trip planned. And in 4 months, my best friend's getting married, and that's in Cancun, and I'll need time off for that. No, don't do that, or you're not getting hired.
You also need to have a valid driver's license. That is one of the biggest mistakes we are finding for you all who may have a suspension on your license that will hinder you from getting a job. Facebook. How many of y'all are on Facebook? How many of y'all got that little cute shot of yourself looking in the mirror? We're also watching your Facebook pages as well. Clean it up. If you want a job, clean it up.
I can't say that enough. Please, Phil, I can't say that enough. I mean, we're hearing every day horror stories about what's put on Twitter and what's put on Facebook. If you don't clean it up now, if you don't understand now that that is public for the rest of your life, even if you take it down, it's still up. And you can't be too careful in this area.
Let me speak about that just for a minute, because we had a couple of folks that we decided not to hire based on their Facebook. It's great for you guys, if you're waxed at the frat house and you're... All right, think of that in terms of professional journalists. When you're on my air, you are my brand. And you're my brand 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So how you act and how you present yourself reflects directly on me. in my company, whether it's WLBT, WTVA, CBI, any of us, or radio, same thing, okay? It's absolutely, you now are in a profession that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Everything you do, somebody's watching you. And if you've got this wacky picture on Facebook of how great it was to be plastered at the frat house or high or whatever it was, okay, get rid of it. If you're a young lady, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you posting a picture of yourself in a two-piece. Except there are people who follow you who are nuts. Just to be frank about it, okay? And you're going to have enough nuts without attracting any more. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not bad. It's okay. But do you want to be known as the professional journalist or the chick in the bikini that's on my wall? Okay? And that's very important to you, but it's also important to every one of us because you are our brand. And we are all looking for professional people who can come and do the job and represent all of us well. Because if you're appearing on WTVA News, you are WTVA News in the community. People see you, they recognize you, they put you with me, with WTVA. Okay? And that's for anybody else. So I cannot tell you how important it is to clean up YouTube, clean up Facebook, all that stuff. It was so much fun to put up there. Get it down, okay? It'll at least be harder for them to find. Yeah, I mean, these other guys may want to speak about it, but that, from the general manager's point of view, it's very important.
Thank you, Phil. Any other bad mistakes?
Be late for the interview.
Use your cell phone. I've had people come in, they're interviewing, they take a phone call, they're texting. I mean, because it's culture now. You know, I'm in that middle age range where I'm not young and I'm not old, but you know, it's become a habit. I mean, I have an employee that she cannot help herself. I mean, I tell her, do not text. Put your phone up at events. And she doesn't even know she's doing it. It's become so second nature. Number two, I want to tell you one of the worst things you can do is to not research the company that you are going to work for. Research, what are they doing? Where are some of their weaknesses? In an interview, if you could offer an idea in an interview that they could implement and make money on, you've got a better chance of getting hired.
And along that same line, if you do just scattergun cover letters, for God's sakes, make sure you get my call letters right. I mean, if I were the head of WMAR TV in Providence, Rhode Island, I would hire you. But that's not where I'm at. That, and number two, designated driver. Because all of you are going to be in shops where you're going to be 500 miles from home, and your family is going to be the other young reporters in that shop, and you're going to go out and have fun. Call a cab. If you get a DUI, that's it. You're out the door. You have, as managers and as companies, we can't insure you, we can't hire you, we can't keep you. I mean, so learn designated driver.
Thank you very much. I'm very proud of the fact that in the journalism school we are seeing more and more people who want to be producers behind the scenes, more and more who want to be photojournalists, more and more who want to be in production. But there are a core group who will not take anything but on air and whose goal is to be anchor. I know I have two wonderful anchors here to my left, and I'd like to start with them and ask, what is that path?
I would never refuse anything. You will always want to get in and prove that you can do something that maybe they think you didn't know how to do. So if you can get in and be able to produce and show them that you can anchor or report or something like that and move your way up, I think that's better than going back to mama's house and not having a job, you know.
The path for me actually started, I wasn't even on TV, it started in radio, which was wonderful training ground for me because I didn't have to worry about what I looked like, and that was wonderful. I did not have to get up and put on MAC makeup. I kind of miss those days, but don't discount radio. Radio is wonderful training. It helps you to develop your personality. It helps you to gain a little bit more confidence before you actually do get in front of the camera. The next thing I did was produce. I produced the morning show for about 2 years before they even thought about letting me get in front of a camera. And during that time, I had to prove myself that I was able to write. I think we've heard about writing up here today. I had to prove that I was willing to do some things outside of the box. I had to prove that I didn't mind getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning and producing and writing, and the fruits of my labor nobody would ever know. It was the two people sitting out front who got all the credit. So you've got to be willing to make those sacrifices. The wonderful lady who produces the show that I host is sitting out there, Mary Carol Sullivan. If not for Mary Carol, my show would not happen every day. There's just no way. She is the creativity behind it. She is the brains behind it. We are a wonderful complement to each other. But she has never wanted, to my knowledge, she told me she's never had a desire to be on camera because her passion is writing and creating. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being the lifeblood behind what happens. So be willing to do those things that you may not necessarily, be the face for. And eventually you'll impress somebody. Those opportunities will come. Somebody's going to get sick. Somebody's going to get pregnant. Somebody's going to have to go on vacation. And those opportunities will present themselves. And that's when you have to get the chance to prove yourself, when those opportunities happen.
I just wanted to say that I think the most important thing for on-air talents is to know it's not about you. I think there's a huge misconception when it comes to our young journalists, that you have the look. Great. Now what? Seriously, what can you bring to the table? Why should the viewer listen to you, pay attention to you? And I think that is a huge misconception. It's not about you. Do your homework. Contribute to your newscast, write. If you have to go out and shoot stories like I do, go out and shoot those stories. Stay there late at night. Network with other television stations if you can. Produce. There was a time I had to do the morning show, Good Morning Mississippi, go home, sleep for 2 hours, and come back and do 5 and 6. Because you have to be a person who's going to be a go-getter, willing and able to do everything you possibly can to make sure that your product is perfect.
Can I just real quick ask the people in here who want to be reporters and anchors, ask yourself this question. Do you want to be on TV or do you want to be a journalist? Because that's the difference. If you just want to be on TV, then news is not for you. Yes. There you go. Get on the real world, she said. But if you want to be a journalist and you want to tell stories and you want to connect with people and help them solve their problems, then television journalism is for you.
I just want to add to I'm not an anchor, but I work with anchors every day. I think the best, and I'm not going to insult the anchors on the panel, I think the best reporters in my newsrooms are the producers, because the producers have to write 7 stories where reporters write 1 story. The producers have to know how everything flows together and know how the anchors and the reporters are going to speak to each other and know how the package is going to, work in the context of everything else. That's where the real, understanding of everything comes into play, and the producers have to deal with that from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. Reporters walk in and they think about what they're doing for the entire day and come back and they've worked on 1 minute and 30 seconds, as we've talked about, or less of the show. Then there's 28 other minutes. So you got to think about who's getting the best training, who's doing the most important thing. I think the producers are doing the most important thing, which is glue it all together, put it together, and figure out how to do it. I had the pleasure of working with Bobby and Andrea when she was producing and anchoring the morning show at the same time, and I was in awe when I really thought about it. I didn't think about it when she was doing it, but looking back at that time, it was awesome to understand that she had to think about all of the things that were going into the show and then perform them. Anchors are just performing it unless they're producing it, shooting it, bringing it all back together. That's when an anchor's really involved in it, And it also makes them better anchors because they understand where this information is coming from, and they understand where this information is going, and they understand the story behind these stories that we're trying to put together.
Thank you, and I'm so glad you hit upon the point that those behind-the-scene jobs are so important. Professor Winger and I are on a panel in a few months called "Where the Jobs Are." And that's where the jobs are. We know that. It's easier to go the route of off camera than it is on camera. But let me ask one more question, and then I will open it up to your questions. And this is for those of you on the panel who are African American. It was just 50 short years ago that you could not enroll at Ole Miss nor at Mississippi State. And we have many African American students who are wondering, is broadcasting the place for me? Because African Americans are still underrepresented in media. So tell them why this is a good field for them. Ben, you can go.
Am I first because I'm from Mississippi State? Thank you. Broadcasting is a great field for us, for everybody. I hate to make it so narrow, but when you do make it narrow, I think as an African American, I think that when you do enter a place where you're not represented highly, then your voice becomes louder. I think that it's just a matter of numbers. The people who are there are the ones who get noticed. And so it's a great place to be because you're getting noticed because you're there. That's the simple math part of it. But I think that, as students now in this year, at this stage, I think we should be looking forward into what can you do? What do you bring from your history, from your family, from your experience that can help the community become a better community? And I think that that's the real reason that African Americans or anybody, Asian Americans, Hispanics, anybody should walk into these opportunities and these situations and say, here's what I can offer. I think it's important that we understand that this is a community that's going to grow. I just looked at a bunch of stories that people have done about James Meredith and the packages that we've had from in here, and you guys have all seen it, and you luckily this year got to see, 50 years later, and we're all beneficiaries of that. I'm the news director at my news station, and that makes me the boss in the newsroom. There's all kinds of opportunity, no matter where you go and where you are. There's all kinds of opportunity. So just step into it.
For one thing, I think Mississippi is ahead of the curve to some degree. I look at some of the Jackson channels and I see a fair amount of diversity, but then look at our stations, Tanya and mine, in Greenville. We are in the Delta, and the on-air personalities that you see, whether it's news, sports, or weather, largely reflects our community, which is majority black. We have majority African American anchors and sports anchors and other persons of color as well. So that there are opportunities, but it's also an opportunity for us to bring something else to the table that might not be there if the on-air talent were all white, because there are certain experiences that we've had in our neighborhoods, in our schools, so we know, perhaps have better insight as to what stories they're looking for. Everybody does the crime, but maybe we can look at a neighborhood and say, this is what this group of people is doing, to say we don't want any more of that here. We're fed up. And you get calls. A lot of the stories that we do are from people calling in with information or a request about something that they're doing that's positive, that can put a different perception on their neighborhood or their town.
Well, I'll say this. I came to Ole Miss about 15 years after Meredith did. And, of course, I didn't see the thing that Meredith saw. But I think I was hired because of my skills. And Mr. Sullivan here, I was a radio guy, and I was working in operations at WTVA. Never done television before in my life. He met me in the hall. He says, I got an opening to do a TV talk show. Would you like that opportunity? He wasn't looking at my race. He was looking at my skill. He saw what I could do in radio, and he thought it could transcend into television. And I've been blessed that I've still had the show, and it's going on now for about almost 5 years. But I think more and more now in the state of Mississippi, it's not about your color, it's about your skill. And I think if you can stand two, and I'm a member of the United States military. If you can stand and handle your business, it doesn't matter, because WTVA wants talent that's going to make WTVA the most powerful station in its area. WACR wants the most powerful people that can make WACR a top-notch station. You know, I worked for WDIA in Memphis for a little while. I was offered a job, not because I was black or white, but because I had the skill. And I think you have to harness those skills. You have to make sure that everything you do every single day is going to put you at the next level. I go in today at a 100%. I go in tomorrow at another 100%. I don't go in at 90%. I want to make sure that when I leave the air, you want to hear me again tomorrow. And I think that African Americans have superseded. And I got to be honest, you know, in a lot of areas when I first come through, you had to be better than number one to be number one. You had to be better than the guy sitting next to you to get that job opportunity. But I think now business is beginning to be more and more like business. It's not pure, it's not clean yet, but it is on the uprise. And I think when GMs like my GM here, who brought me into television, he was looking at my skill and not my race.
I just wanted to say, to echo some of what's been said, and one of those is that the talent, the anchors need to reflect the population of the viewership. And, you know, there are a lot of black folks in Columbus, Starkville, and Tupelo, and they may relate to me or relate to a story a little bit different if it's coming out of my mouth. But the other reason that, for me, I think that it's important, my job is important, and what I do in the community is important, is because of the young people that I come in contact with. I think it is important that young African American girls and young African American boys see on television somebody other than a rapper who is doing well or an athlete who is doing well. It warms my heart when I go to an elementary school and those little children think I'm a superstar and they want to touch me to see if I'm real, not because they think I'm glamorous, but because they think there's this lady and she's so smart and she tells me everything I need to know, and my grandma watches you every night and my mom watches you every night. That to me is the greatest compliment that I get from young people and from some of the elders in my community. You know, I sort of sometimes look at myself and say, really, you know, I am the hope and the dream of a slave. My grandmother, when she was my age, could not cast a vote. And she could not be more proud every night that her grandbaby is telling the news, as she says. But for me, that's a big part of it. It's being a role model, and it's letting young people see that you don't have to be a rap star, you don't have to be, you know, Beyonce or any of those people to be intelligent and to make a positive difference in the world. So for me, that's why it's important.
Well, I'm not on camera. I produce the commercials at WTVA, and let me tell you, there are so many opportunities for African Americans because we have a different viewpoint on things. You know, we can bring a lot to the table, and even though I'm behind the scenes, I feel like I still have a lot to offer. The commercials that I produce, you know, it's very rewarding, you know, to know that something that I'm producing is helping a business to succeed. So, you know, it's very rewarding for me also. So,
Thank you so much for those thoughtful comments. I'm going to turn it over to your questions now, those students who are here. I want to remind you, though, that there is more than news going on at a television station or a radio station or a radio group. There has to be public relations. There has to be business, sales, accounting, all kinds of things that go on. So I think what these folks might have to offer in the way of advice can go across many fields. So we don't have a wireless mic for you students, but I would like for you to stand to ask your question, just so we'll be able to hear you. Yes.
So since journalism is such a changing market with Twitter, and there's always a changing industry, how important is it for somebody who comes in and interviews for a job to be versatile in all aspects of journalism, editing and writing and multimedia and online? How important is that for somebody who comes in looking for a job?
We assume you can do all that. Yeah, we assume that because you're young, because a lot of y'all teach us how to do those things. But, and so I don't spend a lot of time asking, do you know these things? Because I usually get a funny look like, well, of course, I walk, I talk, I do those things. So it's absolutely important. and we're still figuring. It's still it's still new media, so we're all still trying to figure out. We know we got to be there. We know we have to be on those platforms, and we leave it to other people in the station to figure out how to make money off of it. But we got to be there is the bottom line. So yeah, we expect you to know it, and we don't spend a lot of time asking you about it because our experience has been that every young person coming in now just knows it. It probably has a lot to teach us about it. So yeah.
Can I ask a question? I just heard something on the radio coming in that Facebook is no longer popular with young people. That they've already moved on to whatever the newest things are and no longer care about Facebook because it's not engaging enough. Now this was old people writing a story about young people, so they don't know all the answers. That's why I'm asking you, because that's what you have to be a part of. That's what Wilson is saying. Basically, we don't know what the newest, hottest things are, and you guys are coming out of the actual environment.
Did the story say they've moved to Twitter?
They said Instagram. They said some other thing I've never heard of, like gobbledygook. And they said basically Instagram has become the next step. And what I understood about the story, and this is what, if anybody talked to me today, they did get to the point, and it was that there's less engagement in Facebook than there is in Instagram. Instagram, you have to do more to post your thing, and that the younger people are getting into the idea of doing more to post, whereas an old fart like me just wants to, say what I gotta say.
I'm kind of going off that. I do have a Facebook account, but I'm not on it very often, so it looks like it's inactive. Is that a bad thing? I know a friend of mine actually deleted hers because she doesn't use it. Instagram and now this new Vine is all the rage. So like, I don't know if that comes across, or does that look like we just don't know how to use it, aren't using it, or what? Does that make us
We
look bad?
basically just Google you, is what I do. So wherever you are, that's where we're going to see you. And if you're not on Facebook, I don't really keep tally. But I do see what you are doing on those sites. And something that always stands out to me, which you've got to be on all of, you've got to know about all of them. You need to be watching YouTube videos all the time. And I'm a social media, supposed to be guru, but what I do to teach myself is just type in YouTube, latest trends in social media. That's all you do, and you're going to see how-to videos of what's going on. And I would challenge everyone up here. They need to be typing that in. It takes about a minute a week to watch a YouTube video on social media and where people are hanging out and the demos on individual demos. And you're right, the younger demo is declining on Facebook and the older demo is going up. But let me tell you why. That's because Facebook, you tell a story. Older people like reading stories. Younger people, now they say Twitter, the 100-something characters you can use is too long. People don't want to read it. 25 up, they don't want to read that anymore. So, and I think there's a challenge here, up here, that we're going to have to reach those people when they're 30, and they're going to be conditioned to sentences, statements, words that describes a whole entire thing. Sentences, barely sentences. I don't even know if you call them complete sentences anymore. But, so, yeah, I got it. So, Morse code.
I wouldn't worry too much about your Facebook looking inactive, because frankly, if you are going to go for a job, lock your Facebook down. I look up everybody that comes across my desk on Facebook, and the ones that I continue with are the ones that I can see their name, I can see their photo, and it says, if you know this person, send them a message. That's all I need to see on your Facebook, because then I know that you've got everything under control. And all that stuff that's hidden in there, I'm never going to see. So that's the smartest thing that you can do with that. I do have a question too. Snapchat, how many of you?
That's definitely one that they're saying.
Yeah, that thing is
It's another
creeping me out. Okay, I just
Yes, Sid. Would you stand? Yeah, okay.
There are different types of journalism, and it appears, most of you are more, hard news that, that what you watch when you turn on your regular station. But for some of us, not that we don't want to do the hard news, but there are some, in society today, there is such a demand for, the entertainment type industry. But not just saying that there's a difference just in entertainment and journalism and hard news, but to take that path, what would you say
Internet, use the internet. Now in entertainment, if you keep up with entertainment, that fascinates me, the entertainment side. I'm not really a hard news kind of person either. But keep up with what's going on and put stuff out on YouTube. Record yourself, put stuff out on YouTube, get good with that, and you'll probably have to move to a different town.
I like hard news, and you can find entertainment in hard news. You can find that a lot of times if you look deeply into what entertains people, there's hard news there.
Sometimes just at a government board meeting.
Right. But I think as a journalist, when you get into it, that's the smallest world of all. Like we were just talking about, everybody wants to come here and be an anchor. Everybody wants to be a reporter, and then they see, we'll all tell you that being a producer is the way to get into most jobs. Wanting to intern as a producer is the way you'll learn the most jobs that you could do, and put you in the right place. And if you're trying to be an entertainment person, specifically, go to Access Hollywood or whatever it is, there's only 3 people who do that.
I think the question might also be addressed from the standpoint of, if you wanted to produce long form or host, how would you go about getting to that point? How do you get a job being a host or a long form or whatever?
They all start at local stations. I mean, if you look at the Entertainment Tonight folks, one guy's a weather guy, and he had a good personality on CNN, so they just hired him. And Nancy O'Dell used to schlep it out in South Carolina in small markets before she got picked up, and it's just the luck of the draw, really.
Does anybody know what Bill O'Reilly did on TV before this?
Well, I was also going to say too, Hoda Kotb, who you now see on the Today Show, she started at XVT in Greenville. One thing for you too, you may want to look at, because this is how I started out in television, Good Day New York in New York City. Fox Television, they do offer traineeships, and maybe you can get a traineeship with one of their affiliates throughout the country, and maybe start on a morning show there.
David Letterman was weatherman.
That's
I mean,
right.
a lot of it's a matter of just getting into the medium and getting in. If you want to do entertainment on television, it's a matter of just getting on television, doing something, and then you kind of get channeled your way.
Right. Start with your hard news reporting, your beat coverage, but also depending on where you are, you may have an active arts community, and that can help you get into the entertainment, whether it's covering gallery openings, receptions, festivals, arts and crafts, blues. In the Delta, we have plenty of those. So that's a stepping stone into doing entertainment type stories. And suddenly, something that I talked about with my former news director for a couple of years before finally taking the time to do it, is we just started a feature this past month. It's sort of a mini documentary where we visit with some of the bands that tour the area. Some of them are local bands and some are regional. Have any of you heard of Grady Champion? No? Any of you like the blues? That's one of the fun aspects of the job. I mean, it's all enjoyment to me because I really like getting in there and mixing and editing. And once in a while when they let me sub for somebody, I get to produce as well. But just getting out there and exploring and seeing what's there is plenty of entertainment, at least from a work point of view. But that can be your stepping stone to going on to something like Access Hollywood or E.T.
Miss Andrea and Stan both host long form programs.
Okay.
Half-hour shows.
Right,
Anybody
okay.
want to speak to?
Sure.
Well, I want to speak to this particular issue. I think relationships, we haven't really talked about a lot about that. Relationships in this business are very important. Networking is very important. So all the people that you've met here today, I hope you've got a card from them, because all of these people probably represent about 5 other people who are in other markets. And all of us have friends in other markets. We know news directors, we know reporters and anchors in other markets. And sometimes it's just a matter of your name going across the right person's desk. And that could start right here today. So relationships and networking are very important. In terms of the show that I anchor, or rather that I host now, it airs every morning at 9. We pre-recorded at 2:30 just because logistically it's tough to get people in place in the time that we have to do it. But really, the general manager came to me and wanted to do something with this 30 minutes that we had, and he felt like I could do a good job hosting. We got a good producer who was creative, and we just sat down at the table and decided what direction we wanted to go. It's still kind of a work in progress because we haven't been on the air 2 years yet. But I think for me, they saw something in me, which throughout my entire career, it has always been somebody seeing something in me that I didn't see in myself from the very first time I got on the air. So I think Bobby saw something in me that I could do, and he just needed somebody to help pull it out of me. So just proving yourself. When you're given an opportunity, take it and network.
I think I just like to be nosy. I want to know. I'm going to ask the hard question. To be prepared for the show that I do, now, once a month, I record 4 shows back to back to go out through that entire month. And I think I have to be prepared to understand. But I have learned to ask questions based on the answer. And not, you need to know what you're talking about, but ask questions based on the answer. And ask intelligent questions. I don't know if there's really a stupid question unless you just go, duh. I interviewed a Marine one time. You know Marines in here. I interviewed a Marine one time about toys for Tots. The very second show that I did for West Point of View, and every time I asked him a question, he would just say yes. Well, how's it going? Great. What are your plans for this year? To have a good one. But then you got to learn how to capitalize on it. So I had to get into his personal life. And once I got him comfortable, everything was good. But when you're talking about a show like this, I think radio actually helped me to be able to transform that into television conversation. Because radio, nobody was looking at me. In television, I had to be on point, on time. I had to look like I knew what I was talking about. Now I know what I'm talking about because I'm going to study it and find out about it when it comes in. So radio was a great avenue to carry me into. I don't know if I can be an anchor. I've never tried that before. Mr. Sullivan, maybe that's coming up.
Thank you. I had Brittany, and we're running out of time. Brittany, you want to ask, or you want to? Okay. Mr. Quinn, Stephen Quinn.
A question to the news directors on this panel. One of the things as we begin sending out applications is we're going to be writing cover letters. What is it that you all are looking for in those cover letters to kind of help us stand out from the rest of the crowd?
A link to your video. Yeah. Cover letters. I mean, I'm probably saying something wrong. Cover letters don't mean anything to me. I'm not looking to read how eloquently you can tell me how great you are and what you've done in the last 4 years. I need you to tell me, I need to see what you can do for me. If you're talking about an on-air position, I need you to show me what your on-air capabilities are. And if your cover letter says, see the next page, and it's got a link to your video, then it's what I need to see. Just be practical.
Yeah, I'm with him. The best cover letters I get are a paragraph in an email. Hey, I saw you had the opening for so-and-so. I've been at, Ole Miss past 4 years, and I'm yada, yada, yada. Here's my link. Just get to it. Just like any email you get through the day. And don't do it as a Microsoft Word attachment. Put it in the email. Better yet, your resume is pasted in there too. You can attach it also, but the cover letters are not, I guess they're not what they used to be. I never know them as being important, but yeah, it's about the way of a paper resume. It's just, the link is everything when you're just trying to get it in the door.
I'm going to mirror what Ben and Wilson said. I don't care that you've looked on my website and you've gleaned out the fact that, hey, I'm going to be the greatest in the world at covering the Caledonia Confederates. Hey, I can go to Wikipedia and do that. I mean, just send me the link and give me a brief thing of what you know. And that's all I care. Because I'm going to say that 95% of the things we get now are all just links. And I've got a folder within my Outlook Express. I highlight it and I click and say move to folder job applicants, and I do that during the day, and then I go back and look through it, and that's it. I hardly ever look at a cover letter. I really don't, except of course if you send me one that you've got the call letters to my station wrong.
Those are the ones we remember.
Those are the ones we remember.
Yeah, a bad cover letter will ruin, and we hit delete. It will ruin you. If it comes in with 12 misspelled words, It's not going to my folder, it's going to the trash. The other thing is don't send it at 3 o'clock in the morning, because the amount of spam that we get at 3 o'clock in the morning is going to get lost. I know you're still up at 3 a.m., but we're not. And some of us. Right, he sends me email at 3 o'clock in the morning. But also, don't, you made me lose my train of thought.
Make sure that it's a good cover letter.
Yeah.
We had a cover letter
We still
From another school down south. I won't say which one. I did.
State.
Sentence. I did.
State.
I didn't say that.
Well, now you say it twice.
I said it could be others down the states out there. Ole Miss is, could be Ole Miss Jackson. I did an intern at XW whoever station. I learned how to ran the audio production. Okay? That letter is on my computer. And when I go to universities to talk to professors, I show them that letter. This is a person who had completed a study program in communication from a university in the state of Mississippi and had a degree. Okay? So, cut your losses, make it short, address it to the right person, get the call letters right, get the state right, get the address right, and hey, now you have an opening, here's my cover letter and here's my link. Now that's not what these people are probably going to tell you, but I just say this to you, cut your losses, and whatever you send out, have somebody else proof it for you. If you're not a good writer, or if you are a good writer, have somebody else to proof it for you. And if you don't have anybody to prove it for you, read it backwards. Read it from the last word in the letter all the way to the right to left, every line, okay? Because you know what it's supposed to say whenever you're reading left to right from the top, don't you? So it'll say that. But if you're reading from right to left from the bottom up, it may not say that. But just be careful.
I want to say something right quick about
Sure.
this. I also have a marketing company, and I do a lot of hiring for my clients. And I look through tons and tons of resumes, cover letters. I've got a stack right now on my desk. Time is money with executives, okay? That's what I want to tell you. Time is money. So a person who gives me my information the easiest, the fastest, and looks the best is going to get it on paper, is going to get a chance to even talk to me on the phone. So time is money. Always remember that.
Remember what I was going to say, don't send it 12 times.
No.
You know, don't forget your link and then, 5 minutes later you remember the link.
If it says no phone calls, please, it means no phone calls, period. We just put the please in there to be nice. That means no phone calls.
And in the radio business, don't send a 30-minute WAV file. About a 5 to 10 minute MP3 will work.
All right. Well, quickly?
Real quick.
Okay, good.
I'm studying public relations, and I just wanted to know, besides a cover letter and resume, what do you look for? So what should I be working on now to have prepared for when I'm trying to go look for a job?
Lots of community involvement. That's the bottom line. I mean, you know, I work very closely with the American Cancer Society. I work very closely with the American Cancer Society. One reason why is I'm also a cancer survivor. I also work very closely with Race for the Cure, Project Hope, many other organizations, not only within the Tupelo area, but with also North Mississippi. I think one of the most important things is when you're working in the media, no matter if it's TV, radio, print, is a lot of community involvement. And I think that's the one thing that I think is most important. So get involved in your community, get involved. And I'm not just talking about just, you know, show up at, you know, at the event. I'm talking about get in from the ground up, help them plan, help them organize, and get everybody else involved too. And I think that's very important. Also something else, you know, I've been in the media business for going on 15 years, and mostly I've done radio. But the one thing that I will say that I think is most important, especially if you're going into news is be able to connect. Be able to connect with your story, because if you're able to connect with your story, that's going to help you to connect with your audience, your listeners, and your viewers, and so forth. You know, for an example, if you're doing an interview with a lady who just lost her home in a tornado in Smithville, you know, when I'm watching that, I want to see some real stuff. I don't want it to be fake, all right? Because I can tell, if I'm watching you, I can tell, well, they're just there kind of just telling the story. They're being kind of fakish. And I want it to be real, emotional type thing for me. And that's kind of what I look for. But anyway, just to go back to your question, heavy community involvement.
Also, can I just say one thing? This is one of my
Sure,
passions for
sure.
young people. Because I was a young person that didn't come from anything and had to work really, really hard to get to where I am right now. And most of the time, we'll stand up here and tell you how to look, how to act, but the meat of how to get far in life is to have some good mental intelligence and some good emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence comes from reading, experience, learning how to get along with the person you're working with, how to communicate with your boss the way they want to be communicated with. That'll get you further than all of this. I mean, if you've got the most knowledge in the whole entire world, won't get you anywhere without some intelligence when it comes to emotions. So emotional intelligence, which you can read tons of books on. Work ethic, read a book on it. What not to do at work, read a book on it. Because you just came from a laid-back setting where you got to do what you wanted to do, walk around, you know. Most of you, I don't know if you work right now, but most of you, I would say, you don't work, get a job, have some work experience when you apply, even if it doesn't even if it's not in the field you're going into, just some work experience, some common sense.
We promised the broadcasters, in fact, I made a solemn oath that they would be out of here at 2 o'clock. Take their advice. If you didn't get one of their cards, if they still have them to pass out, get them before they leave. And I know you will join me in thanking them so much for coming. You are welcome back next year or any time you want to swing by Oxford. We'll love to hear from you. Thank you again.